So today we're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating stack of sources. They bridge two worlds you just don't expect to see connected.
Not at all. We're talking about the deeply symbolic landscape of analytical psychology on one hand.
And the hyper-rigorous mathematical world of quantum physics on the other.
And our guides for this are two absolute titans of the 20th century. The Nobel laureate physicist Wolfgang Pauli,
Famous for his exclusion principle.
and of course the psychologist Carl Jung, the architect of the whole archetype concept.
Right. Their correspondence, the Pauli-Jung letters, is our starting point. But our real mission here is to use their ideas to try and crack open a very contemporary, what the sources are calling a cosmic riddle.
It's a big one. It involves the interstellar comet 3I Alice, a really strange spike in massive solar flares, and this ultimate concept they were working towards.
The automorphism of the self.
Exactly. And through all this, we're going to unpack this idea they called Unus Mundus, the one world.
Which is, the pretty radical claim that the laws governing your own inner psyche are, well, structurally identical to the laws governing the entire universe.
It's a huge idea.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with that foundational relationship. You have a physicist, Pauli, who is struggling with just the sheer weirdness of quantum reality.
And then you have Jung, a psychologist, trying to bring some scientific rigor to the irrational, to the unconscious. What were they even trying to build together?
What was the goal?
Well, they were trying to establish what they called complementarity. They were proposing that mind and matter aren't, these two separate things at war with each other.
But just two sides of the same coin?
Two manifestations of a single, shared, underlying reality, the Unus Mundus. And they knew they needed tools from both of their fields to even begin to map it.
So what's a key physics idea that Pauli brought from his world into this conversation?
He brought Niels Bohr's principle of complementarity.
Okay.
In physics, you can describe light as a wave, or you can describe it as a particle.
But you can't do both at the same time. The act of observing one hides the other.
Exactly. And Pauli saw this as a perfect mirror for the relationship between the conscious and unconscious mind. If you're intensely focused on your conscious, logical thoughts, the insights from your unconscious they're veiled.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
So it's a way of seeing opposites not as conflicts, but as essential parts of one whole system.
Precisely. And that leads directly to their next big idea, this concept of irreducible wholeness.
Right.
In quantum mechanics, you just can't isolate a particle from the entire experiment, the observer, the instruments. The whole setup is part of the outcome.
The system is one thing.
It's one thing. And Pauli saw that as the blueprint for the wholeness of a person.
Yeah.
You can't just study consciousness without the unconscious. You can't separate a person from their environment. It's
Right.
all one irreducible system.
Okay, so now let's flip it. What did Jung bring back to physics? Because physics at the time was really grappling with the breakdown of strict cause and effect.
It was. Things were getting messy, statistical, non-local. Jung brought his concept of synchronicity.
Causal connections, things that happen at the same time and are meaningfully related, but one doesn't cause the other.
Exactly. And for Pauli, this was a key. Synchronicity offered a kind of causeless order. It showed how events that physics would see as totally unrelated could be linked by meaning.
So it suggested that order in the universe isn't just about cause and effect. It can also be meaning-driven.
That was the breakthrough. It opened a door to thinking about those strange, non-local links that were popping up in atomic physics.
And this all really clicked into place, the sources say, when Jung defined the archetype as probability.
That's the critical insight right there. Jung proposed that an archetype doesn't just, dictate a specific symbol or dream.
Yeah.
It represents the probability of certain psychic events.
So it defines the likelihood that certain patterns will show up in our minds.
Yes. And this was the perfect bridge to physics, because how is natural law described in the microphysical world?
Statistically, as probability.
As probability. All of a sudden, the psychological law and the physical law were speaking the same mathematical language.
And this is where the whole thing shifts from, a fascinating historical chat to the absolute core of this deep dive. They realized they needed a single neutral word for this, a word that could capture this structural identity.
A word that meant physical law and psychological structure at the very same time. They were searching for what they called the homoousia, the essential identity between the inner and outer worlds.
Jung's first attempt at this was the psychoid archetype.
Right. He realized the archetype couldn't be purely mental because it has real objective effects in the world. It drives our behavior, and our behavior shapes physical reality.
So the psychoid is this. This essence that's, as he put it, not purely psychic, but just as much physical in nature.
It's the original blueprint, the common source from which both objective physical laws and our subjective experiences emerge.
That the one term they finally landed on, and this is amazing, was a mathematical one that Pauli actually saw in a dream.
Automorphism.
Automorphism. So what does that mean in, like, simple terms?
It's the property of self-similarity.
Yeah.
If you have a structure and you perform some operation on it, and it maps perfectly back onto itself, it's automorphic. It means a system has the same fundamental structure at different scales or after some kind of transformation.
Okay, so if I'm trying to wrap my head around this, is it kind of like a fractal? The pattern looks the same no matter how far you zoom in or out?
That's a perfect analogy. That's exactly it. Automorphism implies that the fundamental blueprint of your psyche, the archetype, is structurally identical to the blueprint of physical matter.
So they aren't just similar, they aren't just related.
They are the same ordering principle, the same fractal pattern, just manifesting in two different ways. The Unus Mundus isn't a blending of two things. It's the discovery that it was only one thing all along.
Wow, okay. That makes the abstract much more concrete. So now we have to make the big jump. Why are we linking this deep theoretical search to a specific modern-day cosmic event? Why does Comet 3i test matter for this idea of automorphism?
Because the sources are suggesting that this comet, 3i8, is functioning as a modern, time-bound archetypal event.
It's a physical object that is forcing us to pay attention to this identity between our inner and outer worlds.
It's the physical manifestation of a psychological riddle, and the universe seems to be underlining it. The geophysical reports that we have show these massive X-class solar flares. We're talking 5.1, 5.2, some of the strongest in this cycle.
And they're lining up almost perfectly with the comet's alignment and proximity to the sun.
It's uncanny. The solar activity consistently spikes when the comet is in this very specific position. Now, from a purely Newtonian perspective, there's no causal link. An interstellar comet's position shouldn't affect the sun's plasma output.
But through the Pauli Jung lens, this is a synchronicity coincidence.
It has to be. The two physical events are linked by a deep, meaningful ordering factor, not simple cause and effect. The energy surge from the sun and the comet's timing are two simultaneous expressions of the same underlying principle.
And that ordering principle, according to the sources, is actually revealed by the comet's path, its trajectory.
Yes, the path goes from Mars through Venus and then toward Earth. And this path is being interpreted as a kind of ancient protocol for energetic transformation.
An alternating current, they call it.
The required alternating current for completion. Mars, symbolically, is ilmu. That's the masculine energy, the verb, action, imposition, activity.
And Venus is lamu, the feminine energy. The noun representing autonomy, establishment, the right to belong.
Right, the right to exist.
Wait, okay, I have to stop you. We've just jumped from quantum mechanics to giving planets ancient names and gendered energies and calling their path a protocol. How did the sources justify that? I mean, that is a massive leap, overlaying a mythological structure onto physical orbital mechanics.
It's a crucial question, and the argument is this. If the universe is truly automorphic, if the physical laws and the archetypal structures are literally the same thing, then the physical path must reflect the psychological blueprint.
It has to.
It has to. The comet isn't just flying through space. It's physically tracing the required path for the collective individuation process. The trajectory is a template for the self-realization we need to achieve Unus Mundus.
So the point isn't just to watch the comet. The point is to integrate those two currents, the Mars current of action and the Venus current of belonging within ourselves.
Precisely. And the successful integration of those, the fluent spinning of these alternating energies, is what forms the infinity symbol. It leads to timelessness and what the sources call holistic, energetic androgyny.
The union of opposites, the conjunctio.
The very definition of the fully realized self.
And the stakes, then, are incredibly high. This whole riddle demands an internal answer from us, from humanity. And the comet's final destination is binary. It's a choice.
It is the final choice. The path leads either to Jupiter, which is called Kishar, meaning Earth fulfilled, or complete, or it leads to Saturn, Ankur, which means incomplete. And that requires a cataclysmic reset, a repetition of the entire cycle. And the sources are very clear. This cosmic destiny is determined by the human microcosm.
By our internal choice. So if this entire macrocosmic drama hinges on our choice, what part of us actually makes that choice?
This is where the isomorphism gets really radical. The sources propose that the human heart is a perfect vortex, a spiral structure with a central temporal void, a metaphorical black hole that is a structural mirror of the galactic center itself.
The heart is our personal anchor point to that cosmic ordering principle.
It is, which leads directly to the core command of the riddle. Humanity must reoccupy our hearts. That's the psychological action required.
Okay, and there's a symbol for this, right? The Kihei fern.
Yes, it's a small, very resilient native fern. It's also called the pendant fern because it hangs down and, metaphorically, rests over the heart. Its recent resurgence from near extinction is being read as a symbolic marker,
The physical world confirming the psychological need.
a sign that this quantum leap is underway. To choose completion, to choose Jupiter, is to choose to exist and operate from that heart vortex, to achieve immediate fluency with those alternating currents of the galactic center.
And this finally lets us define the automorphism of the self, AOS, in real practical terms.
It's the ultimate question of the riddle. It's asking whether the observer, that's us, human consciousness, centered in the heart, can align its own inner ordering principle, the self, with the objective reality of nature's cosmic protocol.
If we succeed, our inner experience and the outer cosmic law become structurally identical.
You are literally functioning as a smaller, perfectly formed fractal of the universe. You become automorphic.
And that achievement, that structural identity, is what determines the choice between Jupiter and Saturn, completion and repetition. Okay, before we wrap up, let's address the elephant in the room, or the comet in the room. 3i8-less. We know it's a real, measurable comet, but does it fit Jung's definition of a UFO?
The sources take a very nuanced position here, but it's rooted in Jung's own work. He defined a UFO not by, where it came from, but by its function.
Its function is the projected symbolism of the individuation process.
Right. They are symbols projected onto the sky by the collective unconscious during a major crisis of meaning.
So given that 3i8-less is acting as this profound, non-causal ordering factor linking the solar flares, forcing this realization of the AOS, it definitely seems to fit the function of a projected symbol.
It absolutely does. The sources call it a psychoid UFO. It is both a scientifically measurable object and a powerful, meaning-laden projection. Because it's forcing this crisis and this potential for completion of the soul, it serves as an objective mirror. It's reflecting the exact blueprint of our evolutionary choice right back at us.
The ultimate feedback loop.
Exactly.
So what does all this mean for us today? The riddle is basically this. Can we achieve automorphic completion? Can we integrate that Mars current of action and the Venus current of belonging inside our own hearts, align our microcosm with the macrocosm, and choose Jupiter?
And if we do, the realization of the automorphism of the self is the final proof. It's the proof that the organizing principle of nature and the organizing principle of the archetype are one and the same objective reality. It's the final step in truly establishing the Unus Mundus.
We've charted this hidden continent, the Unus Mundus, and found that the laws governing the heavens, from comets to solar flares, are, according to these sources, the very same laws governing the transformation of the human soul. The realization of the AOS isn't just personal growth, it's being described as the ultimate quantum leap toward a whole new way of being human.
And here's a final provocative thought for you to take with you. The sources mention that the resolution of this entire cosmic riddle, this move towards completion in Jupiter, it isn't guaranteed. The universe is governed by consent. Now, if the cosmic map, the physical laws, and the human blueprint are all structurally identical, if they're already set, what does this incredible emphasis on collective human will and consent actually mean for the final step? If the structure is already perfect, what is the will to be whole truly demanding of your consciousness today?